What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I am your host, theFellowKGB. You can follow me on Twitter at theFellowKGB. And today is July 3rd. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a Friday, 4th of July weekend coming up. So happy Independence Day. Hope you all are staying safe and have a good celebration this weekend. And we're going to be hopping into a PPR Superflex mock draft on Sleeper. I've recorded a couple mock drafts so far on FF Calculator and Draft Wizard, so I'm just making my rounds. I'm going to be trying out different applications and different ADPs to just kind of see what's all out there. So we're using Sleeper today, again, PPR Superflex, and we're going to dive into it, and I'm going to be drafting from the 10th spot. And if you're watching on YouTube, my brother is here for the weekend, so he's just chilling, playing some 2K. So don't mind him. And yeah, we're going to get this started here. So we're doing a screen share. I'm going to click on the 10th. I'm going to click on the 10th spot, and if you're new to Sleeper, they have a pretty nice draft, mock draft lobby set up. You can go ahead and adjust your settings in the right corner here. There's draft settings where you can change all the roster settings that you want to do, all the point changes, everything, draft order. You can invite people to come in here. So I might get to that point later where I invite people into the draft, so we have a little bit more real life feel to the mock draft. But for now, I'm just going to use the computer, and it just helps me simulate a little faster, and it makes the video a little bit shorter. Maybe we're going to shoot for like 25, 30 minutes on this one, and it gives me time to kind of breathe and take a moment to talk about what I'm doing. So again, I'm going to go ahead and begin the draft here, and it's going to start simulating all the positions that are not filled. So we see Saquon Barkley, number 1, Christian McCaffrey, number 2, Michael Thomas, number 3, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott. So it's basically telling me to take Devontae Adams, if you can see in the lower left-hand corner here. He's the best available, and they kind of draw this line here to say that he's the best guy of the tier. But I think one of the videos I did earlier with my mock drafts, I took Devontae Adams, and I'm probably going to take Devontae Adams again here just because of the practice of it. If you get to the 10th spot and you have Devontae Adams on the board, you kind of have to do it. Outside of Michael Thomas, he might be the safest receiver for target share volume this year. And he's just got that awesome connection with Rodgers. He's probably going to be one of the best bets to lead the receiver in touchdowns. So I like that. He's going to be a target hog. He's going to have over 100 receptions and probably over 1,200 yards. So Devontae Adams is a slam dunk pick here. I know it's not a running back. We're unfortunate there. But I did miss my guys like Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Zeke Elliott. If any of those guys would have fell to me, that would have been slam dunk, take it to the hoop. And so we missed out there. I do like Nick Chubb here. So we kind of have to be aware that, we're missing 4 picks here. 4 of those could be running backs. I'm hoping some of them are a receiver. But we're going to go ahead here and lock in Devontae Adams. And we're going to start with the wide receiver here. So we see Joe Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, and Julio Jones. I would have loved to get Tyreek Hill. That'd be kind of a nasty wide receiver start. But we're going to start balanced here. And you can see here Miles Sanders, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones. It's telling me the top 4 players are running back. And again, this is Superflex. So I'm a little interested in how this is going to work because there's no quarterbacks in the first round. Typically, I see Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson go in the first round. But I'm going to go ahead and bounce over to my projection document, which you can get access to on my Patreon page. I'll have a link below in the description. And so my running back projections here, I have it filtered by PPR, and we're seeing Nick Chubb as the best available guy here. I know a lot of people are worried about Kareem Hunt coming in and getting passing duty, but there's been talk about Kareem Hunt actually being used as a slot receiver and getting on the field more as the third receiver, maybe taking away snaps from Rashard Higgins. So that's interesting. And to me, that just makes me think that Nick Chubb's as safe as they come. He's going to get almost 300 carries. I have him at 295. I think I have him leading the league in rushing if I filter here real quick. Yeah, I have Nick Chubb leading the league in rushing, about 12 touchdowns and maybe 27 receptions for almost 200 yards. So I love Nick Chubb. He's going to get the volume. The offensive line is going to be much better for Cleveland this year. They put a lot of resources and draft picks into that spot. So, they should just be better as a whole unit too. The defense, everything should just be a little bit better this year. So Nick Chubb, I'm super excited to get him here at the second round, 3rd pick of the second round. So we're going to go ahead here and lock in Nick Chubb, and we got a balanced running back and receiver start here. So I'll kind of just keep it going here with Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones, Pat Mahomes, first QB off the board, Austin Eckler, Todd Gurley, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce, Mike Evans, George Kittle. And now we're entering round 3, and we're currently up, but I'll just keep going with what's going on here. Kenny Golladay, Lamar Jackson, Adam Thielen. And then we got a group of running backs here: Leonard Fournette, Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, and David Johnson. So if you can look here at the board, you can also filter kind of how you view the sleeper draft board. But it's looking like tons of running backs here. Look at all the green cards. Only 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, maybe like 7, 8 receivers. So a lot of running back action. That seems to be the common thing all season so far in draft prep. So I'm up to pick here. I think James Conner is my favorite running back available. If you filter by running back, it's James Conner, Chris Carson, Jonathan Taylor, and then it starts to really fall off. I think James Conner is like the clear guy that I know I want. And I'm looking here at, this is a huge tip. Like, we're close to the turn, so you kind of got to be, cognizant of what your turn mates are doing. So we see a DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill. That guy's probably taking a running back. Joe Mixon, Julio Jones start. That guy can go either way. So there's a chance I might miss James Conner and Chris Carson, but I would doubt that this guy goes 3 wide receivers. So I would imagine if I look at the receivers, I'm likely to get either Juju or DJ Moore at the turn, or Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods. I'm really happy at that spot. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lock in James Conner, who I'm super excited about, and I think he's going to have a big year as long as he stays healthy. So I got about a minute here to talk about him before it goes in. So I'm just going to add him to my queue. You can do that with that button, and then he's sitting there. It'll pick him if I miss it. But looking at my projections, I got James Conner as RB14. There's no one available that I have ranked higher than him. Chris Carson's, just a few spots down, but I have James Conner for rushing over 1,000 yards, about 4.4 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, almost 50 receptions, and a couple touchdowns there too. So I like James Conner. I got him, expected for 28% opportunity share. I'm going to be doing another podcast on that, a whole podcast on that number, and then the yard share too. I've been looking at these stats lately. And both of those articles are up on the fantasyfellowship.com. So check those out if you haven't yet. Those are some big numbers that I've been diving into, and I found some consistencies in where people finish in those numbers. But for now, we're going to go ahead here and lock in James Conner. We got our 2 RBs. Nick Chubb's got a week 9 bye. James Conner's got a week 8 bye, so that's great. And we see here DJ Moore, Chris Carson, Amari Cooper, and Allen Robinson go. So those guys both have 3 receivers and only 1 running back. So it kind of went how I thought it would go. We missed on DJ Moore and Allen Robinson, unfortunately. I'm not very high on Cooper at that spot. I think I prefer Gallup. But so anyways, Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, and James Conner. That's a pretty solid start. I think we're, wide receiver 1 for sure, maybe a top 5 receiver, definitely a top 5 receiver. And then we got Nick Chubb, potential top 5 running back, and James Conner's got top 5, top 10 upside if he stays healthy. So I'm looking at the receivers here: Juju Smith-Schuster, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett's chilling. Tight ends, Mark Andrews. We're not going to get Mark Andrews back to us at 5'10". That could be kind of fun as a tight end. And then I'm just looking at quarterbacks here. We got Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott. I think I'm going to wait. Maybe I'll be interested in quarterback at the next spot. I guess I didn't go over my roster settings to begin with. I'm drafting, it's a Superflex PPR, but I got 1 starting quarterback at the top, 2 starting running backs, 2 starting receivers, 1 starting tight end, and I got 2, traditional flexes: wide receiver, running back, tight end. So 2 of those, and then the 1 Superflex spot with about 7 bench spots. No defense, no kickers, because F them. We don't need them. So I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if Russell Wilson comes around to the next turn, and we'll start to think about quarterback there. But I guess looking at the running back situation, Jonathan Taylor, Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, Mark Ingram, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers. No one really sticks out above the other to me there. So I think I'm okay with passing on the running backs. At this point, we got Nick Chubb and James Conner locked in. We're good to go for now. But it's about Juju Smith-Schuster, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, and Tyler Lockett. These are my favorite receivers that I have here. 50 seconds left on the board. Let's just take a quick look at my receiver rankings, and we're just going to go off the board and see what happens. Robert Woods, wide receiver 9. I got Robert Woods as a wide receiver 9. I got Cooper Kupp as wide receiver 11. So 2 wide receiver 1s for Jared Goff. Maybe we'll snag Jared Goff later. Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver 12. Tyler Lockett, 16. I mean, it's pretty – either way, we're getting a pretty good, a damn good receiver. I would be interested in Juju if I didn't get James Conner. I don't like the double dip at that spot. I mean, if Ben goes down again, you saw it happen last year. So I'm going to stick to my board. We're going to go Robert Woods here, and we're going to lock in. Brandon Cooks has left the Rams offense. You got Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett, going to be fighting for snaps and targets at the tight end spot. And it's just Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. I know Josh Reynolds there. They drafted Van Jefferson, who I like a lot. But again, he's a rookie. I don't really know if I trust rookies as much as I normally would this year with what's going on. So I don't really care for that. And I just think Robert Woods is fantastic. He had a really good year last year. We can look at the stats later, but we're on the board right now. And Tyler Lockett, Terry McLaurin still on the board. That might be kind of fun. I'm telling you, rounds like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, receivers galore. It's so juicy for receivers. I'm a huge Lockett guy. I'm a huge McLaurin guy. Even Gallup, like some of my favorite receivers in the league are chilling in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds. It's kind of crazy this year. So I just wanted to show you guys Robert Woods' projections real quick. I got Woods going for 90 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Looks like 91 receptions, almost 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns. That seem right? That seems kind of low. Only 6 touchdowns, but he's not really a touchdown guy, is he? So Cooper Kupp's going to get more touchdowns, but I just like Robert Woods' big play potential. He gets a little bit of rushing upside. He's probably going to get almost a carry per game. So we're locked in at 2 wide receiver 1s. We got potentially 2 running back 1s as long as James Conner stays healthy. So this is looking really fun, really good start. And if I'm being real here, Darren Waller, I like Darren Waller, but I can't take him over some of the receivers available. I did say I'm interested in Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott. At this point in a Superflex League, these guys shouldn't be on the board. So maybe I'll wait on the turnaround. I would love to snag one of those 2 guys. And then, as I mentioned, you got to peek around the corner and see what your turn mates are doing. And these guys all got 3 receivers. They're probably snagging running backs and maybe a tight end or something. And I guess Cam Akers, I like Cam Akers, but again, rookie, Rams offensive line, we're not excited about that. I'd rather have J.K. Dobbins or Damian Williams at that point. So I'm okay with running back. We can reevaluate when we get to the turn. So for me, the players right here are Tyler Lockett and Terry McLaurin. And that's really it. Let's just look at my rankings real quick, receiver rankings. And again, you can get access to my file on my Patreon account. For the month of July, I'm allowing this to be just like a 1-month purchase for $10. I think I'm going to up it to $15 come August. So if you want my full projections and all my tabs that I got going here, you'll be able to download it and have access to it. So how much time we got left? 25 seconds. Gun to the head. Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 16. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 19. This is tough. Seattle Seahawks are a low-volume passing offense. Terry McLaurin's like the only real boss there, dude. So I got to stick to my rankings. So I'm going to go Tyler Lockett, and we'll see if Terry McLaurin slides past. Yes, we got him. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, it's a little surprising that the 12th team didn't take a running back. They took Dak and Devontae Parker, whereas 11 took Cam Akers. That's reasonable. And then AJ Green. So the fact that, oh my God, we're getting Terry McLaurin here. I know I said I wanted a quarterback. Russell Wilson was kind of like my end game target for a top, tier quarterback. But dang, you look at my roster settings here. We got 1 more flex to fill, and we could stuff that SOB with Terry McLaurin, who, everyone knows what Terry did last year. He's lightning quick. Gets open deep. Darius Slay says he's one of the best players he had to cover last year. So that says a lot. Darius Slay's an all-pro corner. And so I got Terry McLaurin here projected for 77 receptions, 129 targets, 1,165 yards, about 15 yards a catch, and 8 touchdowns. That's 23.67% of the target share. If I filter by target share, that's going to put T-Mac at wide receiver 10. Not bad. Let's look at yard share real quick. T-Mac, wide receiver 4. I'm telling you, you guys are going to have a lot of. If you're new to the Fantasy Fellowship, check out thefantasyfellowship.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the video. Leave me a comment how much. If you like Terry McLaurin, like the video, and just leave me some comments. You can just leave lightning bolts, whatever you got to do. I love Terry McLaurin. So I'm going to do separate videos on these stats that I have here: opportunity share, yard share, and target share. Those are going to be their own individual podcasts, but I mean, I got Terry McLaurin as being a heavy focal point of this offense, and they're not going to be good. Whatever the Redskins are going to change their name to, like, they're not going to be good. I guess they're going to be okay. They're going to be serviceable. They're going to probably win like 5 games, 6 games this year, which means a lot of throwing. It's going to be a Haskins, Huck, and Chuck year. And I don't know, man. Fantasy Fellowship, FellowKGB fully endorses Terry McLaurin this year, especially in the 6th round. That's just cheating. So boom, lock it in. And we got basically our core, the whole core of our fantasy team here. Nick Chubb, James Conner, stud running backs, if Conner's healthy, and I think he can be. Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, stud receivers. Tyler Lockett, Terry McLaurin. Excellent. These Lockett and McLaurin are like excellent wide receiver 2s. And the fact that we got them as our 3rd and 4th options, magnifique. It's beautiful. So I'm gonna just recap here. We're up to pick. We got 3 minutes to go. So after me, little tight end scoot here: Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, Marquise Brown. I wanted Marquise. Russell Wilson. We missed out on Russell Wilson. Brandon Cooks, Deshaun Watson, Damian Williams. I missed on Damian Williams. That's okay. We got tons of running back targets to get to later. Drew Brees, Jarvis Landry, Deontay Johnson, Michael Gallup. I love Gallup. Roberto Gronkowski. Never heard of him. Darius Geist, Jordan Howard, Ronald Jones II, and J.K. Dubins. Okay, we missed a lot of good players here, but that's all right. I feel really confident about what I got here. We got 2 minutes to discuss this and make a pick. So let's take a gander at the quarterbacks here. Tim Brady, motherlickers, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Joshua Allen, Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford. I like all those guys. I don't need to take a quarterback here. I'm on team, like, run it till it's empty for quarterback. I don't care if my quarterbacks are Matt Stafford and Gardner Mustache, like, that's fine. That's great. I don't need an elite quarterback. The only way I take a quarterback is if I might have taken a quarterback at, like, I'd have a hard time passing on any of these guys. We just built such a steady roster here. In the fact that we can get a quarterback 1 still here. This is a little weird. Let me just start by saying this is my first sleeper mock draft of the year. So ADP is a little weird here. I'd expect more quarterbacks to go in a typical Superflex League. So I don't really know what's the deal. Maybe I have a setting turned off or something, but I got a Superflex spot here. So let's take a look at the running backs: Keyshawn Vaughn, Sony Michel, James White, who might have some nice value with Cam Newton, Tevin Coleman, Marlon Mack, Matt Breida. Tariq Cohen's my boy. I'm going to put Cohen in the queue, and I'll talk about him later. I was sending some tweets out about Cohen. I can show you guys that in a sec. Cohen's my favorite. I do like Antonio Gibson, too. We'll talk about him later. But Tariq Cohen's one of my favorite. Like, if you want to just take one running back in the first, 6 rounds, get Tariq Cohen. So we got 30 seconds here to seal the deal. Deebo Samuel, Tyler Boyd, no one's popping out. Marvin Jones Jr. is popping out. Tight end Hayden Hurst, Tyler Higbee, Jared Cook. No tight ends popping out. No, maybe Josh Allen. We're going to just take Josh Allen, and that'll give me time to, process what's going to happen next. So we're going to take Josh Allen, our first quarterback 1, Josh Allen. I don't care if he can't freaking throw accurately. He's going to run. he's going to run. So Josh Allen, what is he? Quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got Josh Allen at quarterback 8. I think he finished. So when I talk about quarterbacks, I reference them in the traditional 4-point passing, -2 interception, and then basically it comes out to every 25 yards equal a point for passing yards. So I got Josh Allen here at quarterback 9. from last year, quarterback 9. I drafted him as quarterback 8, and he's adding Stephon Diggs. So, I think that's a really good spot to grab Josh Allen. I think that's his floor. I don't think he's going to be – if he plays the full, 16th season, he's a top 10 quarterback. So that's what I feel really good about. And then, his floor from last year was pretty good. I think he only hiccuped a little bit when he played the Patriots, maybe. Take a look at these numbers real quick. Only 2 games below double digits. We'll take them. Super steady. I know he's going to get me 15, 16 points, like just with the rushing upside, the touchdowns. I don't need to sell you on Josh Allen. He's a running quarterback, but he can throw. He's got Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, Dawson Knox, Zach Moss, and Devin Singletary to whip the ball to. Will be fun. I could grab another quarterback here, but I got my eye on Matt Stafford and maybe some of these other guys down here. Like I said, Jared Goff. We can get Jared Goff, Robert Woods connection going, which would be cool because the thing with Rob – I'll talk about this later when we get to Jared Goff. Don't let me forget. I think we got to grab our boy Tariq Cohen because I don't want to miss him. Receivers, we got our 4 stud receivers. Debo, Tyler Boyd, Julian Edelman, Will Fuller. Marvin Jones, man, that's a tough pass. Maybe he'll be around for the next pick. I really, really like Marvin Jones. But because of our scarcity at the running back position, we don't have any depth right now. And I think, Tariq Cohen was running back 27 last year in a PPR league, which is the league that he's got the value in. You're not going to draft him in a standard league, but he only had 3 touchdowns last year. I read some interesting stuff about him kind of being out of shape and not really taking it seriously last year, and that sounds like the whole offense is going to be kind of reset to 2018. Simplicity, and they're going to go from there. But Tariq Cohen averaged 10.2 points per game last year. This is a down year, 104 targets, 79 receptions. I'll take my chances with him. If anything happens to my boy James Conner, I'm going to whip in a little Tariq Cohen. So I think Cohen's got the highest upside of all the running backs here. I do like James White too, but I don't know. Tariq Cohen, to me, he's kind of locked into it was a down year for him, and he was RB27. He's an RB2, guys. I think I got him. I don't know where I have him finishing. I'm going to probably have to adjust my numbers on him as the summer comes, but I got Tariq Cohen, RB25, whatever. I really wanted Kareem Hunt, but I didn't get to get him. Or did I? Did I get Kareem Hunt? Where'd Kareem Hunt go? Kareem Hunt probably – yeah, he went early, round 5. Okay, so let me just reframe here. We're going to reset, and I'll announce what happened here. Debo Samuel, Tyler Boyd, James White, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Matt Breida, Marlon Mack, Tevin Coleman, Will Fuller, Alexander Madison. We went to God. Tariq Cohen wouldn't have made it to us. CeeDee Lamb, Darius Slayton, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Hunter Henry, Phillip Lindsay, Jerry Jeudy, Carson Wentz. So we're chilling on one quarterback. Look at our roster chart here. We need to fill a tight end. It's putting Tariq Cohen as our super flex. Fine, whatever. But we need a tight end. Let's take a gander at those real quick. Jared Cook. I like Jared Cook. He's a touchdown machine. Drew Brees trusts him. And he kind of sticks out above everybody else here because I feel like of all these tight ends available, Noah Fant, Austin Hooper, Mike Gesicki, TJ Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith, Jack Doyle, Jared Cook feels the safest to me. He might not have like the super, consistent weeks, but he's going to score touchdowns. I think he caught 9 touchdowns in like maybe 13 or 14 games last year. But I like to run it on empty on tight ends. I'm the Blake Jarwin flag holder. So I'm looking for Blake Jarwin to be my starting tight end this year. So we'll get to him later. But let's look at receivers. Our boy Marvin Jones, he fell. That's value right there. I'll show his numbers in a little bit. No one else is really sticking out here to me at receiver. I like Preston W. So, yeah, I'm likely going to take Marvin Jones Jr. to be my wide receiver 5. Running backs available, Kerryon Johnson, Latavius Murray, Zach Moss, the boss, Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Justin Jackson, Antonio Gibson. I like Gibson, and I like Scott. I like Duke Johnson, Naheem Hines, A.J. Dillon. We got running backs to go here. So I got 50 seconds to sell you on Marvin Jones Jr. With Matt Stafford last year, he played pretty well. His numbers are a little bit skewed because he blew up that massive game against the Vikings. So I'm expecting his numbers to kind of be a little bit more consistent this year. Let me just make sure I got Marvin Jones selected here. But I got Marvin Jones coming in hot as it looks like he's my wide receiver. Shoot, I got him wide receiver 23. I got him just a titch over 1,000 yards. I got him at 9 touchdowns and 71 receptions. So let me just pull over my Detroit tab. Let me double check here. 17 seconds. We're going to go ahead and plug the trigger here on Marvin Jones Jr. Last year, Marvin Jones, 62 receptions and 91 targets, almost 800 yards and 9 touchdowns. Interesting. And they played half the year with David Blau and Jeffrey Driscoll. Matt Stafford, just stay healthy, and I think he's going to support Kenny Golladay, wide receiver 1, Marvin Jones, wide receiver 2. At worst, Marvin Jones, wide receiver 3. So I think we're fine there. Sorry, my throat. Let's just look at what Marvin Jones finished last year. Marvin Jones was wide receiver 28 in a PPR league. So this is my 5th receiver, guys. He did miss 3 games. He was wide receiver 28 and he missed 3 games. Jesus. He's very volatile, though. You know, he's actually not that bad. Just one stinker here, a stinker there, and everything else seemed fine. So Marvin Jones, our wide receiver 5. Matt Stafford goes off the board. That would have been nice to get. Zach Moss, Mecole Hardman, Darrell Henderson. So everything's filled out here. We do need a second quarterback and we need a tight end, so we could address those markets. I did miss. I like Zach Moss. I did like Mecole Hardman, but you're not going to take You're not going to take Hardman over Marvin Jones, I think. So I'm just going to queue up some of the guys that I like here. I like Antonio Gibson. I can talk about him later. I like Boston Scott a lot. Those are really my favorite running backs left. So I would like to target those. Kerryon Johnson at that point seems kind of like a value. We got a minute, 30 seconds to deal with this. Receivers, Jesus, man, we're good. We got 5 big studs here. So I don't know if we need to look at receiver for a while. I mean, we can snag Preston W later. Curtis Samuel later. Randall Cobb later. Receivers are set. We're gonna rely on our top 5. Tight ends, Jared Cook still, hanging around. We got a minute and 10 seconds here not take Jared Cook. Saints are one of those offenses where they're going to be a top 5 offense, and it's kind of just a good idea to get a piece. It's Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas to hold it down. But you're going to whip Emmanuel Sanders in there. You're going to whip a little Jared Cook in there. It's a good offense. I kind of want a piece of that. Did Emmanuel Sanders get picked? Oh, he's available too. We got 2 Saints on the board. Let's look at the quarterbacks. Danny Jones, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Lock, Joe Burrow. That's who I'm going to take. Joe Burrow or Jared Goff. We'll wait for one of those guys. So looking at this, we're super set on receivers, guys. I think I just got to take Jared Cook. And then I'm still going to get a tight end later. But as long as Jared Cook's healthy, I'm starting Jared Cook. Let's look at some of his numbers from last season. And I just want to say, if you're listening on any podcasting platform like Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever you listen on, I highly recommend checking us out on YouTube. That's where I do the screen shares. And I think that, you probably get a little bit more value out of the show, the production this way. So definitely check us out on YouTube. Like the comment, like for Terry McLaurin, everybody. Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel as we try to grow this sucker. So we see Jared Cook, tight end 7, in only 14 games, 65 targets even, 43 receptions, 705 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Jared Cook, holy crap. Career high, 16.4 yards per catch. Jesus. 9 touchdowns, career high 9 touchdowns. So the touchdowns, maybe he finishes 7, 8 touchdowns there. But 14 games, only 43 catches. Like, there's volume potential there. He's probably going to come down in this career high number there too. But I like Jared Cook for 700 or so yards and 7, 8 touchdowns. That's cool. So we missed on Joe Burrow. That sucks. I'm going to get Joe Burrow in one of these mocks, people. But I love Joe Burrow. So we'll talk about him later. But you can read all these guys here. I did miss Antonio Gibson. Did we miss Boston Scott? We just missed Boston Scott. So, okay. So we got Nick Chubb, James Conner, Tariq Cohen holding down the fort. We got Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, Terry McLaurin, Marvin Jones balling out at the receiver room. We got our boy Josh Allen running around as our quarterback 1. And we got Jared Cook holding the fort down as our tight end 1. What do we need? We need a quarterback 2. Could use a tight end, but I'm cool with waiting for Dallas Goedert or Blake Jarwin. So tight end, good. We'll wait. Receiver, we don't really need a receiver. I like some of these names. I do like Preston W. I like Preston W. Golden Tate still kicking it. Sterling Shepard still kicking it. Receivers, man, at this point in the draft, man, you just got to be snagging good players. So good players left at the running back position. It's not looking good, to say the least. So it might be smart for us to snag a guy. We might be able to just handcuff James Conner with a guy like Benny Snell, call it good. I mean, Nick Chubb, we know Nick Chubb's going to be a beast. We're not going to bench Nick Chubb ever unless, he like gets something torn up. But Tariq Cohen can always be our first sub in. So I don't think running back's a high priority, or maybe it's the quarterback position. A guy like Ryan Tannehill, a guy like Jared Goff. I still love Minshew and Teddy B. The running backs aren't really doing much for me. I like Duke Johnson, but like I said, I think at this point in the draft, I just want to keep adding haymakers. I want to build the team that everyone's just like, So we're going to go ahead here and we're going to snag who I think the number one receiver might be for the Giants this year, and that's going to be Sterling Shepard. We got 3 minutes here to discuss, but players just after me: Jalen Reagor, Anthony Miller, Austin Hooper, Michael Pittman Jr. Let's talk about Sterling Shepard and see where he ended up last year. Again, full season basically for Daniel Jones. I think Eli only played 2 games, but we're going to see Sterling Shepard last year finished as wide receiver 48 in only 10 games. I know everyone's like, oh, Darius Slayton. That's great. I like Slayton. But Sterling Shepard was the target hog when he was on the field. So 10 games, 83 targets. That's 8.3 a game. 57 receptions, 576 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had a good rookie season with touchdowns. He's not going to be a touchdown guy. Maybe he gets 4, 5, 6. That's all I want. But if you look at some of these numbers, they're kind of volatile. But, at worst, look at his worst game was 7.6. Anything happens to my receivers, I'll throw in a little Sterling Shepard that week, and maybe he hits a 13, maybe he hits a 25 ski. We'll call it good. But 200-yard games, super steady. Sterling Shepard's one of the best picks I think you can make. We get him round 11. 6 stud receivers. Sterling's not a stud, but you get the point. He's wide receiver 48 in only 10 games, guys. What did he average last year? Career high 14 fantasy points per game. Not bad. Let's filter here by fantasy points. On a points per game basis, he was wide receiver 28. Perfect. We'll take it. So we're up to pick again here. No quarterbacks have been off the board. I am adamant on running this sucker till empty. We'll wait for Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, Gardner Minshew, Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr. We're going to wait. I like to wait, and I like to just keep building value. If anything happens, I can make a trade, or, I just want to take good players. I know it's super flex, but worst case scenario, I'm going to probably take 3 quarterbacks in this draft to kind of cover my bets. So that's how we're going to do it. Preston Williams, one of the best receivers. We could just keep building receivers, get 7 studs. But tight ends here: Mike Gesicki, TJ Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith, Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron, Dallas Goedert. We're going to build like the deadliest receiver room of all time. And we're going to snag we got 40 seconds to decide here. Maybe a running back, Anthony McFarland, Pittsburgh. I do like A.J. Dillon, but that's going to require an Aaron Jones injury to A.J. Dillon to make. So that's like a handcuff lottery pick at this point. I don't know if I need that. I'll take Benny Snell, later. Unless Benny Snell, did I miss Benny Snell? I'll look for that later. But 17 seconds, gun to my head. I'm not interested in any of these quarterbacks just yet. I like the tight end. I got a good tight end though. We're taking Preston Williams, guys. Boom. And if he comes back and he's healthy, he looks like he's healthy already. I saw a picture of him today. Here, let's boom. We got 3 minutes here. This is why I like doing. If you got a problem with doing these simulated drafts, I do it because I'm presenting the podcast and I need time to talk about it. But Preston Williams looking really good today. Where is he? Is this the man? He's doing stuff. He's running. He's recovered. Got a nice thigh tattoo here. But Preston Williams, last year, we got a couple minutes to talk about him real quick. In fact, I got 2 minutes. Let me pull up his numbers. Wide receiver 46 last year in only 8 games. Wait, that was fantasy points per game, but we'll click on him. He averaged 11.6 fantasy points per game as a rookie, an undrafted rookie, 32 receptions, 428 yards, 3 touchdowns. You look at some of the numbers here, PPR, his worst game was 5.1, but he finished strong, 5 for 72 and 2 touchdowns, 24.2 points. Like he was at the games that he played, he outplayed Devontae Parker. The reason why Devontae Parker was able to get the stat boost was because this guy was no longer taking targets. I mean, you see no less than 5 targets a game. So, I mean, we're slobs here at the receiver position. I shouldn't take another receiver, but it's super stacked. We're light on running backs. Nick Chubb, James Conner, Tariq Cohen. We're light. So maybe we should look at that spot. But we did miss out on Baker Mayfield, Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo. So our boy Jared Goff is the last guy left. We're going to take him as our quarterback 2. But the way I view this, and this is the way I like to take a shot on a guy like Jared Goff, is because he's not going to be he's not a consistent guy. You're going to want to play him in the matchups. So I like getting Goff part of like a 3-headed committee at quarterback, where I know I have my quarterback 1, Josh Allen. He's not going to move from my quarterback 1 spot. But I can take Jared Goff and I can take a guy like Minshew or Teddy Bridgewater and play the matchups and just see how it goes. I could take Cam Newton here even too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take Jared Goff. We're going to Cam Newton, we missed him. Dang it. Adrian Peterson, Jalen Samuels, Eric Ebron. We got 3 minutes to talk real quick about Jared Goff and what happened last year. I mean, Todd Gurley was injured. The offensive line was just like a shell. Really just just everything about the offense was down, but he put up numbers still. He did finish as the quarterback 13. He threw a career high 16 interceptions, though. So that's the problem with Jared Goff. He kind of had a rough year just seeing the field. Only 22 touchdowns. That's down, his basically the worst of his starting career. Only 62.9%. Pretty good yards, though, 4,638 yards. He doesn't provide any rushing yards, but he got 2 touchdowns. But looking at some of these numbers here, and some of them are complete sinkholes. Like San Francisco, he can't do anything, 1.1. Another game against San Francisco, he did fine, 20.1. So we'll be hesitant to start him against San Francisco, but he ran into a buzzsaw here in the middle of the season at Pittsburgh, Chicago, Baltimore, arguably like 3 of the top 5 defenses in the league with San Francisco. But he just got shredded here. So when he's not playing an elite defense, I like him. And we got our boy Robert Woods for the the bing bang boom connection, double dipping. So that's Jared Goff for me. That's why I like him as a quarterback 2. He looks great as a quarterback 2, especially if you have a guy to rotate with him when he's playing San Francisco. I don't know if I want to play him, but we'll see how it goes. So 2 quarterbacks. Everything's pretty much set here. We need running backs. I should probably scout some running backs. A guy like Darrington Evans. If anything happens to Derrick Henry, there you go. Jalen Richard, pass catching back. Worst case scenario, I'll have to whip him out. I think I'm going to target Benny Snell as my end game, and that's going to cover my bets there. We got a minute to make a pick here. So I'm just kind of snagging running backs here that I think could, help us out this year. There's really not too much. Raquel Armstead's interesting. But basically, these are all handcuffs at this point. I don't think anyone's going to help us. And the way the running back waiver wire goes, someone's going to emerge. If I'm that bad at running back, I'll figure it out. I think I can handle it with Nick Chubb, James Conner, handcuff with Benny Snell, and then Tariq Cohen as my bye week filler, kind of jack of all trades guy that I can whip out if something happens. Receivers are stacked, guys. Holy crap. 33 seconds. What are we going to do with it? Was interested in quarterbacks, but I think we're going to let those rotate and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we take Dwayne Haskins, Terry McLaurin. We got him. We're good. Best tight ends are available. Dallas Goedert, Blake Jarwin. I'm going to take the guy that I have ranked higher in Dallas, Blake Jarwin. I'm talking about Blake Jarwin in all these videos. If you like Blake Jarwin, smash the thumbs up. Leave a comment. Blake Jarwin 2020. It's going to happen. Jason Witten's gone. And I know they drafted CeeDee Lamb. I get it. They drafted CeeDee Lamb. I've watched Mike McCarthy. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I live in Milwaukee. I've watched Mike McCarthy's offenses. We're not going to see a ton of targets to the running backs this year. So Zeke Elliott last year with 71 targets, maybe that comes down. a tad, 60, 65. So there's a few targets there to share. We see Randall Cobb gone. CeeDee Lamb kind of slots into 83 targets at a minimum for me. And then you see Jason Witten down here at 83 targets. It's a lot of targets. And then Blake Jarwin already had 41. So technically, if we put CeeDee Lamb here at the 83 targets, and then we give him like 5 or so of Elliott's, that puts him at about 88, 90 targets. That's CeeDee Lamb. And then you still have 83 targets to move around from Jason Witten. And Jarwin already had 41. So there's targets to go around. Jarwin can get 80 to 90 targets easy in this offense. And he caught it at 11.8 yards per clip, 3 touchdowns last year, 31 receptions. Like he's gonna double up, guys. He's gonna be 60 catches, and he's gonna be probably 700 plus yards. And he's gonna be 5, 6, 7 touchdowns. Blake Jarwin's my favorite tight end sleeper at the moment. So go ahead and check Blake Jarwin's highlights out. He's gonna have a good year, guys. It's a great offense, and we'll see how that goes. But I did miss out on Dallas Goedert, but we got Jared Cook and Blake Jarwin. So again, Blake Jarwin's our backup tight end. So the fact that we're getting a tight end one here is pretty cool. And the way I was a fan of Blake Jarwin, and then when I finished my projections and I did the tight end numbers and I hit PPR and it filters and I see Blake Jarwin here at number 8, my jaw like drops, and we're just like, let's think about this for a minute. So that's my spiel on Blake Jarwin. You'll probably hear it again in another video at some point, but that's I probably got to start taking other tight ends just to show some love. But Jared Cook and Blake Jarwin are 2 of my favorite values at the tight end spot. Wide receiver, shouldn't even look at wide receiver, but I like James Washington. I like Randy Cobb, Steven Sims Jr. Got to show him some love in a video eventually. Running backs, Jalen Richard, interesting guy. We didn't get a quarterback. We missed out on Minshew, unfortunately. So Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna take Teddy Bridgewater. I think there's a lot to be excited about in Carolina. It's like an unknown thing, Matt Rule and Joe Brady, new offense. But if you look at what Joe Brady did at LSU, that's kind of the numbers that I looked at when thinking about what this Carolina offense can do. And I mean, the weapons that they're giving Teddy Bridgewater, man. Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, who has ties with, I believe it's ties with Matt Rule. And it just feels really good. Like the Carolina Panthers, they're not going to be a good defense this year. There's going to be a lot of games where they're, they only won a few games last year, so this is a good team that I think will be fantasy fruitful. DJ Moore is a potential wide receiver 1. Christian McCaffrey, a wide receiver 1 or running back 1. He's basically a wide receiver 1, but he's going to catch over 100 balls. DJ Moore is going to come near 100 catches. You got the tight end Ian Thomas, who I don't even know has been drafted in this. So I'm feeling really good about our tight end, or I'm feeling good about everything in this draft. Every one of these players, I'm co-signing. Take them in your dynasty draft, or not dynasty, but redraft, whatever. As long as the value's there, that's what I look for when I take these. But man, last pick, we kind of summed it up perfectly. We're going to go ahead and get Benny Snell as our handcuff. There was an interesting quote that I saw. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Evan Silva retweeted it or something. We got 2 minutes, so let me look it up real quick. I think I retweeted it. But it was a really good point about what they're thinking about with James Conner. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, go ahead and do it. I've been, pumping out a lot of good content lately. So theFellowKGB, you can follow me on Twitter. But let me see if I can find it. I think I retweeted it. Here it is. Evan Silva retweeted out a tweet from Pat Kerrane. And I guess we'll read it here. And he's kind of just talking about James Conner, being a workhorse in the red zone. And last year just didn't happen, but the team was just kind of toxic last year without Ben Roethlisberger. So Tomlin says this fact that makes it seem very bullish about James Conner this year. So he says Benny Snell is capable of being a James type of guy if James is unavailable. Translation, Snell is Conner's backup. So to me, there is nothing about Benny Snell that's going to take a good amount of carries away from James Conner as long as Conner's healthy. Tomlin's always been the guy to just give his RB1 touches. Willie Parker, Rashard Mendenhall, Le'Veon Bell. That's kind of how he runs his offense. He lets the guys just flow. So I think James Conner is super steady this year for fantasy purposes. PPR, he's going to, as long as he can, I don't. He's such a good pass catcher. I don't see that coming out of his game. So I like that. And then we're just gonna go ahead and handcuff Benny Snell, and we're gonna sign off for this PPR mock draft Superflex. Thank you so much for chilling out and watching the video. If you're listening on the podcast, man, I highly recommend checking this out on YouTube. But if you're all about your podcasts, thank you. And if you're on Apple, Spotify, whatever you are, it'd be great if you could leave us a rating, a review. All that stuff goes a long way, and it's so greatly appreciated. In fact, if you do leave any kind of rating on Apple, I think Apple's the only one that you can do ratings and reviews. But if you leave a rating and a review, you have to do both. I will send you a copy of my 2020 projections. You get it for free. Technically, I'm pricing it at a $10 to $15 value. So if you want it, it's free. All you got to do is go ahead and subscribe on the Apple podcasts. Leave a rating and review, and just DM me on Twitter. Just screenshot of some proof, or I'll probably see it if it's in there. But let me know. You can get a hold of me either on YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. So that's going to wrap up today's video, though. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I don't know how long this video went. It's probably longer than I wanted, but I just love this stuff, man. I'm going to be doing mock drafts all summer. I'm not going to care about if there's football or not right now. I'm going forward with the mind that we're having football one way or another. So that's the mindset. And Fantasy Fellowship. I'm the FellowKGB. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And man, have a good day, whatever you need. And we'll see you in another video. Peace.